Alright, Salaki, so this is part 2 of my video. I ran out of storage. And Lord's will, this is edifying, you know. Like I said, I'm just trying to land back. I'm not trying to be contrary to any brother's videos or what brothers do. Everybody has to be convinced in their own mind, you know. But this is pretty much the consistency you're looking for. It's not like normal flour. It's like the consistency almost of cornstarch. And also, it's dry, but when you hold it, see how it kind of clumps up like that? When you do it like that, it kind of clumps up a little bit. Normal flour doesn't do that. And I'll just show you. Normal flour doesn't necessarily, see how it just falls right apart when you do it like that, okay? And then once you thoroughly have mixed in the butter, which what I'm doing is I'm just taking it, when I put it in there, I'm just crumbling it, you know, smashing it together so that all the butter or whatever gets mixed in really good. And so like I said, you just saw what it happens when you take regular flour and do it. When you take this and do it, it holds its form a little bit better because you've put the butter in there. And it kind of chunks up. Hopefully you can see that. It chunks up a little bit. So anyway. Alright, so now what I'm about to do, it's real simple. I'm about to take and mix some water in. Alright. And like I said, it's really proportionate to how much you use. For this particular phase, I don't like to go straight in with my hand because it'll be too wet and messy. So what I do is, for the first portion of the dough mixing process, take a spoon and I mix in the water. And it's really easy to use too much, so you want to be careful. I think I may have used a little too much, but it's easy to fix. Which, yeah, if I did use a little too much, it's only a little bit too much. Like, what you're looking for is a dough that's not completely dry. You still want it to be a little moist, so that when you knead it, it becomes the rest of the way. I'll show you what it looks like right now. So like you working with what I got here. So this camera. So anyway, this is what it looks like right now. Still kind of wet, which you still want it to be a little moist. But I'm gonna put a little bit more flour in there, just so that when I handle it, it's not super sticky. You know, just a little bit more flour. I don't want it to be too sticky. Alright. So now, I just got this to wipe my hand up. So now I'm going to come over here. You know. And I'm going to mix this little bit of flour in so that I can handle the dough a little better. I don't want it to be too sticky. So I'm just coating the ball of flour here with that ball of dough with that little flour that I made. I'm gonna just roll it out on my clean table. And I may bring the flour back just in case I need a little more and it's too sticky. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna knead it, you know. And really it's best to flour your surface just a little bit. So I'm gonna do that. Flour, you know, and then that way it won't stick to the table as much. And then I'm just kneading it in, you know. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna knead this dough. It may be sticky, which is fine. You're just gonna knead this dough till it becomes smooth and it's not super sticky anymore. Yeah, I really don't like my dough sticking to the table, but can't really help it. Well, if you want the dough to be right, it's gonna stick for a little while, but you just keep on kneading it in. And this is really sticky. I'm thinking I'm gonna probably do a little more flour and then put some on the side. I don't like it to be too sticky because it gets all stuck on your hand. done turned into a cooking show. You know, hopefully this becomes edifying. I'm just kneading this dough. The purpose of kneading it is to activate the gluten, is what they call it. Stretches out the for what should I call it? For lack of a better word, the fibers in the dough, and it gives them some substance, you know. And after a while, what I'll just do is just kind of fold it into itself. You know. Get all the dough off my hand. That could be contributing to the stickiness. Get the dough off is what I like to do. Okay. Now, typically, when people are working with dough like this, they have a dough knife, which allows you to scrape sticky dough off of your surface. But you know, we Jake, so we don't typically have stuff like that. We just got dough and a table. So we do what we can. And we'll probably edit some of this out, the stickiness of this process here, because this dough is still very sticky. It's not getting where I want it to go right now. More flour. Sticking too much to the table, so I'm just adding more flour to get it where I want it to go. The end result I'm looking for is where the dough is kneaded and it feels smooth and it's not sticking to the table anymore. You know, I'm just kneading everything through thoroughly, making sure that flour gets mixed in. The fresh flour that I put on the table gets mixed all throughout the dough. I'm just doing this to kind of get some of the sticky dough off my hand without having to wash my hands over and over. And it'll reincorporate into the dough. That's why you got to make sure you got clean hands when you do this. Maybe getting there. There's still flour on the table, so it's hard to tell if I'm at the consistency I want yet. Like I said, I'm looking for it to not stick to the table so easily. And a few seconds ago, it was sticking very easily, which is not what I'm looking for. Also, I typically don't make anything on this glass table, so I typically work with a wood table. So that may contribute to the stickiness taking a while to go away. You know. But it seems as though it's getting closer to what I'm looking for. You know, it's rolling around without half of it sticking to the table like a damn piece of some I don't even know what to call it. Something crazy. So, you know, it's okay if it still sticks a little bit, but what you want is, you want it to feel slightly sticky on the outside without coming off on your hands and without it sticking to the table all willy-nilly like it was earlier. Right now, it's kind of sticking to the table a little bit, but it's not coming off of my hands, and when I pull it away, the whole dough is coming with it, okay? You know, which there are simpler ways to make it, but this is a pretty decent method. It's not the best method, but it's pretty decent. I may be over processing it right now. So now that it's reached this stage, I'm just gonna set it right here. And typically what people do is they let it rest for a bit. When you let it rest, it's good to have something to cover it with. Put it in a bowl and cover it with something. I'm trying to decide whether I'm going to let this rest or not, actually. Just for time's sake. You don't have to let it rest. What you can do is this. Salaki, let me get this put together. Washing my hands. Okay. Alright, so for the purposes of the video, what I'm about to do is I'm about to go ahead and make one so that y'all can see what I do. Which is not too hard, you just roll it out and cook it. But it's just for anybody that wants to see. So I got this to wipe my hands off. So at this point, I'm getting all the super sticky dough off my hand. And normally what you want to do is wipe off your table, because there might be some stickies on there still, sticky dough. But like I said, for the purposes of this video, I'm just gonna make one real quick. Cut off a piece. So since it's still kind of sticky, I'm just gonna cut a piece of the dough off to avoid overly touching it. You know, just a decent size. Depends on how you want to roll it out. Let me get about this much dough right here. I'll show you in a second how much I got. And like I said about that dough knife, typically it's like a little blade, but in this case, I just got a regular knife here. All right. So what you do after you get your bowl, your size that you're going to use, you flour your hand up a little bit, flour up your surface. Here's the dough ball size that I'm using. It's about this big. I'm just going to put it in the flour that I set down on the table. Grab the rolling pin here. Some people put flour on their rolling pin. I just make sure that the surface of the dough is floured for the most part. So when it sticks to the rolling pin, you just kind of flip it, coat it in some more flour, and then you keep rolling it out till you get it the size you want it to be. Or sometimes you can roll it till it won't get any thinner. But with this dough, it's typically softer because of the butter, so you know you can get it pretty thin. So it all depends on how thick you want it. I like them at a decent thickness, not too thin, not too thick. That's right. And it also depends on the surface you have to cook it on. You know, so those factors are going to depend on how much you use. I don't want this to be too overcomplicated. But you just basically roll it. You alternate sides. So right now it's getting long this way, so now I'm gonna lay it like this so that I can make it rounder. It's not gonna be perfect, but it's rolled out now. So I'm gonna move this somewhere out of the way. When you're storing your dough, typically you want something like a kitchen towel made out of cotton or something like that. I don't really have that. I have this shirt that I'm using to clean my hands off. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wet it a little bit. Little ghetto. Don't judge me for being ghetto. But anyway, I wet it a little bit, set it over the dough, and so the dough doesn't dry out. Then I set it to the side for about 30 minutes. After I let that rest for like 30 minutes, and I'm, happy with the consistency of it, you can put it in the fridge. If you put it in the fridge, you should wrap it up. But really, it's something that was typically done daily in the ancient days. You would make bread daily. So, you can make it daily, on a daily basis. So this is a griddle I have. Little griddle I got. And this is some olive oil. Battery's getting low, so this is a long video. I'm gonna have to edit some of this out. Shouldn't have took me this long to make some damn dough. But now I'm about to cook the tortilla when it gets hot enough. I got this to use on like the Sabbath and stuff, even though, we can't be over righteous because this is still technically heat, even though it's not technically fire. So, let's just grab this up. I'm gonna just go ahead and put this on here so it can start cooking when it gets hot enough. And as you can see, the dough's pretty flimsy because it's still really soft. I think I might have even made it a little too big. Seems like it's a little too big. Okay, here we go. It's not perfect. But, like the brother said, and like it's true, we're rehearsing the righteous acts, so we do the best we can do. And for those with limited money, sometimes it's cheaper to make your own. You may not have money to buy. I guess you can make a bag of chips stretch all week. Just eat a little bit per day. But, if you want to make it a part of your meal, a big part of your meal, you can make your own bread on a daily basis. Or, the dough may last for a good 2-3 days if you store it properly. What I mean by that is I'll take like one of those grocery bags, a clean one of those, hand grocery bags, and I'll wrap it around the dough and make sure there's no air in it to the best of my ability. Tie a knot in the bag so that moisture doesn't get in it, and then that dough can be taken out and rolled out up to 2 to 3 days after it's been made, and it will still be decent. But fresher is better, Fresher dough is better. So this is heating up, And also, I was talking about how, self-rising dough causes air bubbles and stuff to form in the bread. Well, actually, steam also does that as well, which you may be able to see here as this bread cooks. So now we wait. Just waiting on the bread to go ahead and cook, then I can end the video. So lucky if this is a long video, see it's already reaching about the 20-minute mark, so hopefully this helps somebody. And really, I could probably end it here, but I'm just gonna, like I said, for edification, just show the part of it rising, because it does rise. Go back a little bit. So yeah, it's really starting to cook now. I can feel the heat. Make sure the light's still on. Yeah. Okay. I typically don't do any of this on this table, but just want to show brothers and sisters what I typically do. This flour has no leavening agents in it. Just a straight up tortilla, salt and such. And there were even cakes of bread placed before the Most High. So I guess I can get that scripture while this is cooking. Get this scripture here. Leviticus 7:12. If he offer it, let me see if there's a little bit more. Leviticus 7:11. And this is the law of the sacrifices of peace offerings, which he shall offer unto Yahweh. If he offer it for a thanksgiving, then he shall offer it with the sacrifice of thanksgiving, unleavened cakes mingled with oil, and unleavened wafers anointed with oil, and cakes mingled with oil of fine flour fried. Beside the cakes he shall offer for his offering leavened bread with the sacrifice. So we're not doing any leaven, of course, during this time. But one of the type of breads that was offered was cakes of unleavened bread and cakes of leavened bread and cakes of bread mingled with oil. Because if you just put oil in the bread, it becomes if you just put oil in the bread, it becomes a different texture when you cook it. So I can catch this oil. So I didn't oil. I just use a little oil on the surface. It's a little hot, so just kind of briefly twist it around. You can use a spatula, of course. I'm just doing this on the fly, and this is typically how I do it anyway. I'll just flip them with my finger or whatever. So you should be able to see here how it's going to start poofing up, especially when you cook it with oil. There's a little poofies happening right here, and that's just simply from the heat and the steam, And this wasn't my best batch of tortillas or anything, but like I said, it's just a show, just for an example. This is a little thin, so it's a little hot. Alright. I think that side's pretty good. Let's flip it back over. Whew. As you can see, it's getting a little brown there. Browning up. Alright. And yeah, I mean, pretty much got you a tortilla there, just to kind of show it. So yeah, I'm gonna probably take this off here and end the video. I'll say Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakar. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace, love, and salutation to the hopefully elect. Hopefully this lesson was edifying. With that, I'll say Shalom.